Hello everyone, it is episode 9 and it is 28th of January 2025 and I'm joined by the management. How you doing, management?
Doing great. How are things going out in Arizona?
Things are going really well. I should say the management. I keep missing that. The management, right? I'm missing one of your names in that.
Yeah, it's my first name,
That's
but I
right.
feel like it's kind of like Bond to James Bond.
That's right. Things are going well. Things are going well. I'm actually heading out during the week to a treasure hunting conference. It's the first annual treasure hunting conference in Las Vegas, which I will be driving out to on Friday of this week. So that's what I'll be doing this week.
That's exciting. Is this the Calazar's treasure hunt con, or is it?
That's the one. That's the one. And we'll be doing a poker tournament Friday night, an escape room Saturday morning, and then the conference itself on Saturday afternoon. I'll actually be on one of the panels talking about, as a treasure hunt creator, how we go about the process of creating treasure hunts, etc. So I'm just really forward to it being a really fun time. There will be an open bar, which I'm sure will make it a little easier to make it a fun time.
That's enough reason for me to drive to Vegas from Florida. I'll tell you that much.
That's great. So what have you been up to?
I have, as we talked last week, I'm going to Philadelphia next weekend. Sadly, won't be at the Treasure Hunt conference, but I had been talking about how I was looking for clues that line up with Philadelphia, and I haven't really found anything that pointed there except for, and I've been kind of punting this off to the side, lining up with secret societies, Freemasons, the Knights Templar,
Oh, I love it.
Illuminati, all of that stuff. I don't know. I know it's a very, very complicated topic and there's a lot to learn. I don't think John Collins Black expects us to become experts on secret societies, so I'm trying to keep it all top level, but it's so interesting and I just keep digging in.
It's funny because I was doing some research as well on secret societies. I can't remember. It came up in this hunt somewhere, I believe. And I was looking into the Freemasons, etc. And to me, it seems a whole lot less interesting than it appears initially. So the Freemasons, to me, sounds like a bunch of guys sitting around playing chess or something in their hall.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more the origins of how it came to be with the Knights Templar. And somebody out there is going to know more than me and they're going to correct me on this. But the Knights Templar were the original and they were knights during the Crusades. And they're the ones that discovered this vast fortune in Solomon's Temple. And then come around to colonization time and in the Americas. And the Freemasons were kind of the people that took that spirit of fraternity and brotherhood and a belief in a greater God, not a specific God, but you have to have some belief, and having that shared belief across cultures and races.
And so you will give us a more of an update in the AT box later on, correct? Is what I'm
Yes, a
anticipating.
little bit more. I had started, well, big thing with Philadelphia, and we talked about this last week, was National Treasure. And so I started looking up all the places on the National Treasure in the movie that they visited during National Treasure, including Urban Outfitters. And so I'm going to kind of make a day and do the
Okay.
tour in that order.
That's right. You've got your whole confirmation bias tour, right? You're there in Philadelphia
Yeah.
anyway. So let's try and make the puzzle fit where you're going. I like this.
Y- Yes. So it'll be great. And it all starts at Benjamin Franklin Bridge.
Oh, great. This is going to be exciting. Okay, well, we'd like to hear the report back. You have a book report due when you come back to tell us how it went.
Homework.
So let's get into a bit of a treasure hunt token update. So last week I talked about how we were giving away $30, ended up being 27. I didn't realize they were taking the taxes out on it, but $27, still worth it. For Treasure Hunt 146. Now, some people noted that the website had a few glitches on it, the treasurehunttoken.com website. That's now been corrected, but I am going to put a link directly to the treasure hunt because some people requested that as well. Anyway, Treasure Hunt 146 actually wasn't solved this week by our listeners, so it's still out there for anyone that wants to go grab it. Now, Treasure Hunt 146, I'm going to give a clue this week to make it a little easier to solve. I think once you see how it was solved, you'll see that it was relatively easy in my view, but let's see if you can go and get it this week. So on every one of our treasure hunt token hunts, we put up our link tree. Now, link tree is a QR code, and when you scan it, it has a bunch of links to our website, our LinkedIn, our X, everything that's on there, right? This particular QR code, you don't have to click on it. You don't have to go any further into it. But this particular QR code for our link tree is a little different on Treasure Hunt 146 than every other one we've put up in the past. So that's your clue for this week on how to solve Treasure Hunt 146. But again, $27, wish it was 30, $27 ready for you to go solve. May only take you a few minutes depending on how you go about it. So go solve that hunt.
And I'm telling you guys right now, if nobody solves it over this next week, I'm going to go do it because I could use $27. But
That's
I
right.
don't want anybody accusing Chaz of insider trading with me. So I keep my hands off until it fails to get solved.
I think 2 weeks is enough. I will give you free reign to go solve it after 2 weeks, and I won't give you any hints, but I think you can solve it. You've solved them before.
Clock is start.
So yeah, these treasure hunts are really kind of like supposed to be something you do with your morning coffee, very bite-sized hunts. So if you're kind of sick of going through this really long effort of there's treasure inside and you want to have a win, check out this treasure hunt. This one I promise will be a much easier to solve than one of these John Collins black hunts. And remember last week we talked about the code being Philly Special, 2 words. Okay, so let's move on to some of the highlights of the week. Still no drop for highlights of the week. That's my homework for this week. Get a drop for highlights of the week. But I'd like to start, as always, with the one box that's has a special place in my heart, which is the past and future box. And I think one of the reasons why Past and Future Box has a special place in my heart is it talks about 80s trivia, which is what I'm interested in. It has a word search, which drives me crazy, which makes me want to do it even more, even though I hate doing it all the time. And it has about 3 pages that I've read over and over and over. So on a weeknight, when I want to relax, I'll get a nice cup of hot cocoa and read the same 3 pages over and over again for the Past and Future Box. But this week, I wanted to go over one of my theories of the word search that people have been going over and over and over. So, for those who don't know, there is a website called treasureinside.wiki. And on that website is kind of a consensus solve so far within the community for the word search, or at least partly solving the word search. Okay, so once you get into treasureinside.wiki, click on the past and future box so you can follow along about what I'm talking about here. What they have here is a consensus throughout the community of the words that have been picked up on the word search. And once those words are removed from the word search, you have a bunch of letters left over. And those letters that are there are anagrammed into words. For those, again, who don't know what an anagram is taking a bunch of letters and reordering them into a readable word. And I talked about on one of the previous shows, there's a particular anagram there that when you unscramble it, comes up with the word search. And on a previous show, I talked about how the chances of that being random are almost insignificant, which means that John Collins Black did put those letters there to spell word search as an anagram. So for me, that word search is very, very important. And any solve that doesn't allow that word to show up is probably not correct. So on a previous show, I talked about how the words that are in the word search, how do we choose which ones we're going to use? I talked about how, why didn't we use the words that appeared in the previous chapters of the book? The problem with that, though, is it kind of screwed up the overall consensus of what the message was supposed to be and also cut through the word search because the word less, Less, kind of on a diagonal, cuts through the word search so the word search can't exist anymore. But from the kind of consensus that people have used of what words to use and what words not to use, you're left with the phrase that says, there are 5 clues in this word search, but do not tell anyone. Line them up. There are no special bends or turns. Just remain steady to complete the mission. Okay, so that's the phrase that people have come up with as a consensus. Does that make sense to you, the management?
Yes, it does.
The full name this time, the management. Correct. Okay.
Yes, it
So
sounds more official that way.
the good. Okay. The thing is, though, to get to that phrase, it sounds like it could be something that's real. They've had to choose words in some instances and not choose words in other instances, and no one knows why. No one knows why they're choosing particular words to exclude and not excluding other words. So I went back and looked at the past and future box and was realizing that probably two of the three pages on the text of this chapter, he talks a lot about Bitcoin, cryptocurrency. The other part is talking about Ready Player One, which I will listen to as an audiobook on my drive to Las Vegas this week, by the way. Now, when I was thinking about this, I realized when you create a wallet, you get a password to get into that wallet. And the password is a bunch of words. They're called a seed phrase. Like I would generally have a 12-word seed phrase to get into my wallet, which is 12 words they give you. You write them down, and then when you want to get back into the wallet, you enter those 12 words again. And I started thinking, where do those words come from? It must be some list, like some defined list. And it turns out there really is a list called the BIP 39 list. So what that list is a list of 2,000 words that are used to create these seed phrases to get into crypto wallets. And I thought, well, how about if we take those words and exclude the words in the word search that match that BIP 39 list? When I did that, I found that we got very, very close to the phrase that people have come up with as a consensus. So it explains why. Why do you exclude liar, but you keep line in there? That's one of the things that's come up a lot. Why do you exclude lemon, but don't exclude less? Well, the reason is that lemon is on the BIP 39 list. Liar is on the BIP 39 list. So it all starts to fit together. The only thing is that really messes with the consensus phrase is that count and 11 on the left there are not in the BIP 39 list. And also tone is. So tone is towards the top left of the word search. That messes with the phrasing a little bit. Now, the thing is, I do not mind if it messes with that consensus phrase because that's what we call confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is you go along with what everyone else is thinking of the solution. That phrase that I just read may not be the solution. The only thing that I really care about at this stage is it doesn't mess with that 10 letters or so that spell word search, because in my mind, that's almost insignificant that that could be there by chance, that that's there on purpose. So that's what I've been working on with the past and future box, is going along this BIP 39 list, because it's amazing the amount of words that are in the word search that are actually also on that list of the BIP 39 list is staggering. It's very, very close, which makes me think that we could be onto something.
I absolutely agree with you. I think that the key elements of a word search are the grid, but then also the words that you're supposed to be searching for. So that's definitely a missing element. And that's a related piece of information that can totally provide the other piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about in a previous show. Almost every word search has a word bank. That is a list of words below the word search of what words you need to look for in the word search. John Collins Black doesn't provide that list. So I've been looking for where is that word bank? A list of words where you're trying to rule out or cross off words within the word search. I think the BIP 39 list is a good bet. It's crypto related. Most of the chapter is related to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. I think this could be it. Okay, so that's my rant for the past and future box this week. I hope you all got through it okay. You probably want to move on to something else. So, the management. What have you been working on this week? What have you seen?
Well, I think we're at kind of a period where it's the calm before the storm. I think everybody was really excited when the first books came out, and now everybody's chilling out, waiting until, March rolls around to go boots on the ground. So I think there's a lot less open chatter as people are getting deeper into the clues and creating actual solves. But as I was saying earlier, with my Philadelphia confirmation bias tour, I did discover when digging into the Freemasons that it was started in Philadelphia. And the first temple was actually built in Boston, but Freemasonry was founded in Philadelphia, which is also known as the birthplace of America. And
Correct.
the earliest that I can find documentation on the history of Freemasonry, the earliest date is 1727. So it is a history of the Freemason Lodge in Philadelphia from 1727 to 1735, I think. And it's written by one of the grandmasters. So it should prove to be very useful.
So what's 1727? What does that represent?
1727 is a number that is seen very prominently on the Appalachian footpath box on the treasure map in
Oh, it's on
the
the map
top.
itself.
Yeah, on
1727.
1727. And there's like nothing historical significance in 1727. There was like a big earthquake, I think, or a big fire, some natural disaster that happened in the Northeast in 1727. But other than that, there's not really anything that aligns crazy.
Well, I was happy to humor this confirmation bias hunt you had, but I actually think this is pretty significant. 1727, I mean, that's many years ago. There's probably not that much that was happening that still reverberates to this day. I think the secret society starting in 1727 might be something that's really significant.
It really could be. And, I really try to focus on the AT hunt for myself. But I always am going down some rabbit hole that always aligns with the other boxes. And so that's how I dabble in the other small boxes, but there's always some sort of information that aligns across the board. So right now I've got a very wide net cast of information trying to line it up and trying to make it work.
So this 1727, was that one of the ones you had to squint to see, or was it a normal one? Actually, I feel like most of the clues on that map you have to squint really hard to see what's written there. That's one of the reasons I don't like doing that box.
You are absolutely right. There is some very, very tiny stuff, and sometimes I feel like my eyeballs are going to fall out of my head. But the 1727 is very prominent. It's one of those you can't miss at clues.
Well, that's great. So, I mean, you couldn't see anything else in 1727. I'd be going down that rabbit hole. So, what are you going to be doing in Philadelphia though when you're there with that information?
I'm going to be doing a confirmation bias slash national treasure tour, and I'm going to walk through Philadelphia and visit all the places that they saw in National Treasure and see if I pick up any clues along the way. John Collins Black has made it very clear that some clues aren't going to make sense until your boots on the ground. So I'm hoping that I get there and something clicks.
Yeah, I think it'd be really cool, and something that he would probably love to do is if you actually had to go walk that area to find the information you needed that for some reason you couldn't find anywhere on the internet. That would, for me, would fit his style very well. So if there was something you were able to pick up, like some other part of the map, the AT map, some sort of symbol there that you saw that symbol on a poster or something in that area. That would be really cool, I think, and fits with his personality quite well.
Yeah, I really hope that it's that little weird symbol that nobody can figure out what it is that's
Or
in
that
the
like
middle of the
fire,
map.
it looks like smoke or something like that, right?
Well, there's the smoke one, but there's one that's like right in the middle of the map that some people say it looks like a tree sap extractor. Like you poke it in the tree and the sap comes out, and then some people say it looks like a hand holding a gun. But it's very undescribable image that it's boggling my mind as to what it could be.
Well, I think the person who has the biggest microscope wins the AT box one. Puts it under the microscope, 100x magnification, maybe enhances it a little bit with AI. I don't understand. I can't imagine when they reveal the solution of this, why there was a good reason why it had to be so hard to read this stuff.
I hate to break it to you, but I'm about to out nerd myself and say that I bought a digital microscope. And if you put the books, I returned it to Amazon thanks to their very liberal return policy. But I put it under the microscope, and because it's the way that it's printed, all you see is the overlapping dots from the dot matrix of the printer. So having a closer view of it doesn't really help at all.
I wouldn't be surprised if there was a map within one of those dots. That's how hard it is to
Oh,
read.
you know what? There was somebody early on that posted, there's like a little lobster shape that's down by the compass, and somebody early on posted a zoomed in picture of that. And in the dot matrix, you can see a little smiley face, and I was like,
Oh,
that guy is
God.
messing with us.
Oh, God.
And so
That's why
I
I don't
looked
like
at
that
it and
box.
exactly, I was like, I'm not looking at anybody else's screenshots ever again because somebody's put a smiley face in that one just to throw me off.
Oh, okay, right. Well, I think it's been known that I have a dislike for the Pokemon box just because I'm not into Pokemon and I feel like I'm going to be forced to research Pokemon. But I think Pokemon might be coming above the AT box for me. But that's good. I'm glad you're onto that one. So you've got that covered for us.
Oh yeah, I'm face first dive into the AT box.
Okay, so something a little more neutral for us, the Forest Fen box. Have you found anything this week on the Forest Fen box?
I haven't really. I did another YouTube last night, doing the second part of my poetry analysis on that. Dug out some very top level clues, but there's been a lot of chatter this week about if is it in the Rockies or is it not? Has John Collins Black actually said that? And John Collins Black hasn't actually said that. It was in the Amazon description for the Forest Fin Box ebook, but it hasn't been confirmed or denied if that was an error or not. And at this point, I don't think John Collins Black can say, oh, that was an error, because then that's a clue that you should eliminate the Rocky Mountains. But he also can't say, oh, no, it wasn't an error, because that means it's in the Rocky Mountains and it eliminates too much other possibilities.
But do you really think he wants that much hate mail? Be like huge bags of envelopes if people still sent mail being brought into the courtroom like on The Simpsons. Probably dating myself with that reference. Do you really think he would want that amount of hate mail of creating something that so clearly seems to be in the Rockies and he's got all that space to put it and then he just doesn't for some particular reason?
You know, it's kind of the evil genius thing. Like, you name it the Forrest Finn box, people make a lot of assumptions, but he's never said to make any of those assumptions. And that's the confirmation bias, right?
I think it would make people very upset if it wasn't in the Rockies, but that's just me. I'm not looking at that one yet, but it is in my future. I think I will look at the Forest Fen box more deeply. We had a really good solve from Froggy that he went through one of his solves on one of our previous shows. So if you didn't hear that one, go back and have a listen. But I'll be revisiting that one once finally the word search does me in and I give up on the past and future box. Okay, so that's it for this week. Management. Do you want to direct people again to your YouTube videos? They're getting a lot of traction, so I think people are really enjoying them.
Yes, so it's youtube.com, obviously, and then my handle is the TheMGMTAT. So you can find me under the management AT, and hopefully you'll find I go pretty deep into some videos. I did one on Leonardo da Vinci and how his work is tied into the treasure hunt in the second part of the book. Go ahead and go check it out, and I hope it's useful for your hunt.
Okay, so that'll wrap it up for this week. Next week, I'm not sure there's going to be a show next week because I'll be at the treasure hunting conference. Maybe I'll try and get one up with some interviews with people. I'm not sure what state we'll all be in to do that, but you'll be in Philadelphia next week, so we won't have a regular show, but we will be back with a lot of news from the treasure hunting conference and also all the information you found from the secret societies, right?
All the information I've found for sure, but I'm going to go ahead and say that I think tipsy interviews at conference is a great way to get some clues out of some people.
That's right. You know, all the background noise as well, the people talking. Everyone will love that. But anyway, have a good week, everyone. We'll speak to you soon. See you later, the management. Have a good week.
All right, y'all have a great week.